Welcome back, guys. It is the Brothers Geek Out podcast. We have another Geek Out session. And hopefully I say this right, because I just said it like a minute ago. I've got a really cool artist, YK2K Illustrations. We've been following each other's work for ages. Yusuf, which I remember. You got to say the surname again, just in case I get it messed up, dude.
It's pronounced Khanzada.
Khanzada.
Yeah.
See, I'm bad with all of that, because I even said somebody else's name wrong on the YouTube channel and I got ripped to shreds. So I have to be careful about how I say things. But no, listen, thank you so much for making the time and coming onto the show, dude. I know we've been waiting to do this for a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. So apologies from my side, being a parent and a full-time everything that I do. Things get busy, but apologies. But thank you for jumping on today's one, man. Tell the people a little bit about yourself. Where are you based, and what started it all for you?
Oh, damn. Okay, so my name is Yusuf, of course, aka YK2K. I am from London, England, West London specifically. Technically Northwest London, but what London. I am an illustrator, a writer, a animator as well. I am a comic book creator / manga artist with my comic book Legacy Excalibur, a really cool epic fantasy adventure story. And I'm a geek. I'm like you. I'm like everyone who was watching. I'm just a massive nerd. Ever since I can remember watching like Spider-Man on videotapes on my VHS player when I was like 3-4 years old. I guess that was like my first like jumping off point. Spider-Man as a kid, then eventually watching cartoons growing up on like Cartoon Network and Jetix and just a bunch of DVDs. I grew up watching like Spectacular Spider-Man, the animated series. I had the Batman animated series on DVD. Even though that was before my time, I still love that show to bits. X-Men, the animated series, I know you're a massive fan of that. Ben 10 and so on. And then eventually that just grew and grew with like into my like pre-teens, I guess. The MCU was kicking off. So that was just like another epic adventure from Iron Man to where we are now. But I want to say I really became a nerd, like a hardcore nerd, around like say 2013, 2012, when like The Dark Knight Rises and the first Avengers movie came out. Yeah. Because prior to that, I never read comic books. Okay. Like at all. It was just the cartoons and the video games that kept me going. But when after The Dark Knight Rises came out, I was like, whoa, this is amazing. Like this is film. This is cinema. So I was like, crap, I want to know more stories about like Batman and Spider-Man and so on. So I did like some digging. I went on like a bunch of YouTube videos, and my first comic book I distinctly remember reading was the New 52, Batman New 52, written by Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. Yeah. The Court of Owls story. And that was just like the gateway in. And I was like, bro, I couldn't stop from there. And then it just became that much.
Is a great story because, again, the one thing I love about comic books is that it gives readers different variations of the characters, different origins, different styles, or learn more about the individual character. It's no longer a superhero story. It's more of a person's journey of what they're going through. That's amazing what they've done with literature like that when it comes to comic books. That's pretty interesting that it didn't really kick off to you till after The Dark Knight, because Dark Knight is a fucking great movie. Like it's up there, with the best, right. One of the best movies ever. But like, was there a moment where it piqued your interest when you got into, because as an artist, there must have been that one thing, that one character that you like draw repeatedly till you memorize the way this person looked.
It's a tough one. It really revolves around the Bat family for me. Again, like it was like that time period where, like, again, The Dark Knight Rises, Young Justice, was a big thing. So I remember drawing Robin a lot. I remember drawing Batman a lot in like my doodle books and my sketchbooks. Yeah. And then from then on, I just fell in love with Jim Lee's and Greg Capullo's artwork. Those two guys specifically. And I'm like, bro, okay, I need to do this. Like, I need to like do something with this with my future.
Yeah.
And then I just got to reading a lot or listening to a lot of like artists and their stories as well. And from then on, I tried to like bring that into my own artwork, I guess. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. I mean, you can only be inspired by them, isn't it? And I mean, what we do is inspire and recreate and try and do things in our own visual kind of representations of characters or imagery that we do. I know for me, it's like a really personal thing, like, you know, growing up in the culture and the background that we grew up in, not many people see. Well, I'm coming from first generation coming to this country. So for them to take the concept of, you know, drawing, I don't know if this is going to work for you. I mean, is there any money in it? You know, listen, art is a weird, what can I say, industry, I've got to say, because yes, it does pay. You can get work, but you have to be hungry and you have to go for it. And I know that through my journey, you know, but it's the hunger, you never stop, and the love for the content that we love keeps us like, you know what, I'm going to keep doing it. You know, like I probably exposed my age several times on the podcast, but I don't like saying it, you know. I hit 40 last year.
Oh, wow. Mashallah, man.
Like a kid. Thank you, bro. I still feel like a kid now. So as you can see, I still love it. The age doesn't play a part. It keeps me, I think, being creative and being artistic and loving the content that we love. It's kept me. I actually feel like it's kept me younger. Like, so it's weird because some people, I get the, man, you're like, and you're gonna grow up. Like, grow up to what, bro?
Exactly, yeah.
Like, I'll never understand that concept, but I mean, it's something that I like expressing, because people never get it, because they're like, well, you're a father now, you know, your kid, you're still wearing superhero t-shirts and jumpers. Like, bro, like, what can I say? Like, what's your problem? Is there something because I feel like some people are envious of that, because that the child is still within me. Yeah. Yes, I'm an adult, and yes, I have my responsibilities, and yes, I have to do, you know, I have my bad days, I have my good days, but that there's something in there, drawing and doing art and, you know, connecting with people about it as well, has really made me more passionate in that direction as well. So that, like, I don't know what the journey's been like for you in what you do in your art, and how has it helped you mentally, because our mental well-being is like the most important part of it.
Oh, definitely. Like, I can somewhat relate to your story as well. Like, again, I feel like I'm a 12-year-old still at heart. Like, if someone mentions Spider-Man or Batman, I go running. I'm like, what do you want? What do you want? Did you watch No Way Home? What was your thoughts on it? Like, that's how, like, I always do it. But like, as I get older, I see it as like a win-win situation. Like, you still have a youthful spirit, but with age comes wisdom. So you get best of both worlds.
That's right.
Yeah.
Very true. Very true. That's good. What was your reaction to Spider-Man No Way Home, though?
It feels like a fever dream. I'm not even joking. Like, it's a weird story, because when the announcement of No Way Home was coming out, it was going to be like this Spider-Verse film, and you could see all the marketing material coming out. I was very guarded at first. I was like, there's so many ways this can go wrong.
Yeah. This
can go wrong very, very well. So I was guarded the entire way. But like, when I came out of that theater, I was like, why was I worried? This surpassed my expectations. And I felt like a 5-year-old watching like those Tobey Maguire films, like in my living room again. It feels like a fever dream, honestly. Like, it's probably the best experience I've ever had watching a movie. Yeah, like,
you know, it's weird that it's come to a point now where these movies are like going to a football match now. We're expecting
exactly
to score a goal, and you're like, you know, shit, that's offside, dude. It's not going through. Like, it's amazing, because like when I went to my screening, I was like, this is nuts. And I, again, just like you, I went in there guarded, because there were so many spoilers, and, you know, the marketing, yes, it was confusing. And like, I went in there thinking, you know what, they're not going to do it. Yeah. I genuinely, like, I thought that story was going to be like a redemption story for Doc Ock and Green Goblin, and they help out Tom Holland Spider-Man. and the other guys are the, Sandman and Lizard and Electro were going to be the bad guys of the movie.
Right.
And then shit, man, when it happened, like tears, screams and tears of joy. Like, can't believe, like 20 years down the line. It's nuts.
It was destiny, man. It was destiny, man. It was written in the sky. It was gonna happen.
Nah, well, they pulled it off. Less spoilers next time, Marvel. But Marvel know how to market, man. Disney know how to market. They've got the fans like in there now. They've got social platforms that have millions of people following them. You can put out any rumor, and Marvel will definitely pick it up and say, you know what, that kid's right, man. Let's do that. So we're making ideas for them, but people are not clocking onto that. It's like, I could be actually selling these ideas. That's why I don't do theory videos, because I feel like, you know what, they're going to tease my ideas. I'm just going to keep quiet. I'll keep it to myself.
I know that as well. Yeah.
That's the best thing. Dude, I wanted to ask, like, your art style. Did you start off traditionally, or did you... traditional art, or you went straight into digital?
It started off traditionally, full on traditional. It's only been recently, let's say the past 2 years, it's been more digital than traditional.
Yeah.
Mainly, yeah.
What are you using at the moment now?
At the moment, I switch between Procreate on my iPad Pro and Photoshop on my Wacom.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But which one do you enjoy using the most?
At the moment, it's Procreate, just because it's just so simple to use. It's so accessible, and I can take my iPad anywhere. The Wacom is a bit of a dinosaur, and like I have a very dodgy keyboard, so when I'm like using my keyboard while I'm drawing, it's a bit of a pain in the ass.
Because I work with Wacom in it, so I gotta throw that in there. So Wacom updates, dude.
I'm sorry, Wacom, if you're watching this, I love you guys as well. Just saying, like, you guys are amazing.
Wacom, listen, I love their products, and I use my Cintiq all the time, and it has, even work in partnership with them, sometimes it has its moments, but I end up always going back to my iPad as well because of the convenience. I feel like it's weird because I've been using Wacom for years. When the iPad came out, it was that the fluidness it had. It's like, why does it feel like this?
It's like sketchbook.
Like it was like, wow. But any large projects, I use the Wacom and Photoshop and Illustrator, but anything like where I'm practicing drawing and like learning new techniques, I'll use the iPad. The iPad has really opened my mind up to digital art, because I'm a traditional artist at heart. I love doing traditional. I love using paint and felt tip pens and stuff like that. I like getting messy, using Indian ink and paint brushes. But digital has like sped up the process like dramatically. So that's played a big part. Yusuf, I got like, this is a big question, and a lot of people either can answer it really well or they can't answer it at all. And you've got to be specific, because we live in the real world. Yeah. But for that moment, you get superpowers or some sort of abilities. What would it be?
Flight. It's either flight or teleportation. I always like jump between those two.
Yeah.
I think I just love the feeling of, I think the Man of Steel fight scene depicts it perfectly, just like soaring through the sky, the wind rushing against you. I've always wanted to experience that feeling. And again, teleportation, like I love Nightcrawler. I just love the way he like just jumps in and out of places. I think that'll be very, very fun. So it's either a fire or Bamf. It's Bamf everywhere. See those two.
Yeah. Teleportation is one I like, but I've recently, in the real world, I've got to healing powers.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Healing powers. I don't want Wolverine's adamantium madness. I don't want no claws. I'm not a violent guy. I don't like conflict.
No.
Healing powers. I can take a punch as long as I can heal straight away. That's cool. Yeah. That's one of my favorites at the moment now. Healing powers. But how you been during COVID and everything, dude, man? Like, what have you been able to do to keep yourself kind of sane in the process of 2 years? I know it's been hard for quite a lot of people, and the people that listen in always like give them opinions and advices and things that other artists and other collectors go through? Like, how's the process been?
It's been a weird experience, not gonna lie, for me and for everyone, pretty much. The way I would cope with it is just a bunch of escapism, really. Like, as you can see, like the stuff all behind me is just a bunch of stuff that I've collected during the COVID crisis as well.
Yeah.
I've become like a major bookworm recently, so
Nice.
just getting into stories as well, writing as well. I want to say I've become a writer recently as well, storyteller. So
yeah,
I want to tell stories, so I need to read stories as well. So that's like, it's just a constant cycle right now.
Of course.
And a bunch of video games, comic books, movies, of course. Just intake everything. Try and be a scholar, pretty much, at home. That's how I see it as.
How's the martial arts going?
Yeah, martial arts is very good. Although I'm a bit in a rut at the moment. The past 2 months, I've just been, when like you say, I'm gonna go gym. It's hit that point for me right now at the moment. It's the one thing I've been very productive with everything. It's just the damn martial arts I need to get back into. Wow. But I'll get back into it very soon. That's for sure. Yeah.
Keep it in mind, man. Keep it in mind. Keep it in mind.
Yeah.
I've had a bit of a bad stump as well, and there's nothing wrong with that. We're human. It happens. I started Wing Chun. I need to get back into it. It's been a month now, but I done my back in, and I had a car accident a couple of years ago, but it plays up sometimes. So, and then I had COVID. Nice. Which kind of just killed it completely. And I was like, all right, you know what? I'm just gonna rest it out. But I did start to pick up on my mental health by running. Like, I started jogging again, and like I was like, man, I'm growing this dad gut, starting to look like one of my uncles. When the wife is like, you look like one of your uncles now, you're like, oh man.
Oh no, that's the worst.
And I'm like, uncle, like which one? Because there's a couple of good looking uncles. There's the ones that are like, nah, man. She was like, nah, you're heading down that road. I was like, oh, I'm gonna start running. But yeah, that's one of the things for me. But so listen, I've noticed you've been doing this. I've checked out the first 3 issues that you've done. You're on number 4 at the moment now. What was the idea? How you been finding it? Like, what was the inspiration to? You were like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna do this.
Well, I love to draw. I love reading comics. I love reading manga. I love watching anime and everything. But it came to a point where all I kept drawing was just fan art. And it just came to a point where I was like, I can't really go anywhere with this, really. Like, I want to be like Todd McFarlane, Jim Lee, Akira Toriyama, Ichiro Oda, a bunch of these people. And like I'm looking at them like, oh crap, they've done all their own stuff. So in my head, I'm like, I should do my own stuff as well. So I was like, wait, let me get on this car and just drive with it. So I thought of an idea, and like I'm a massive fan of like shonen battle stories. So like Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, My Hero Academia. I want to tell my own story like that, but with my own twist on it as well.
Okay.
And I was like, how do I make this my own thing? So I was like, okay, let me take everything from what I've experienced from my life, pretty much. So like, if you didn't notice, if you read the first 3 chapters, right, it's the setting's somewhat inspired by London. Especially specifically Wembley. Now, if you guys are not from London, Wembley is like a district in London, you could say. And the main, you could say, highlight for Wembley is Wembley Stadium, the giant football arena. And the distinct thing about the stadium, it's got like this massive arch around it. And I was like, okay, how can I incorporate this into my own city? So for the location, I actually drew this like massive arc going around the entire city. And that's my location of the story. And that's like, I guess, my process for it.
Yeah.
You could say. Wow. Yeah, so that's like a little.
When you put a part of home and part of you in that story as well, which is actually quite cool. As you said, you were talking about fan art, and I know you said to a point that it gets to a point where it's like, where am I going to take this, and what am I going to, you turn that into a positive and did this, which is absolutely amazing. There is an element of what you went through thought process wise when you're putting the characters together and writing the story. Like, did you just draw and kind of went with the story like some people do that, or did you kind of sit down and you chaptered it and you wrote it down and said, did you do little storyboards and things like that?
Yes, it was the second thing that you said. Although I did have like a couple mental notes like a couple months back about like a story I wanted to tell. I did do a few sketches, but when I was looking back on it, I was like, this is garbage. I need to redo this. So I was like, I started again pretty much.
Yeah.
So I went through. I did draw the characters out first before I started the script even. So I drew out the main four characters who, I wanted, and I gave them a lot of like relatable like things towards me. Like again, I love football, and the main character wears a number 10 shirt,
That's right.
and that was clearly inspired by like my favorite footballer of all time, Lionel Messi. The rival character is inspired by Ronaldo, so he has the number 7 on his back. You haven't seen him yet in the story, just saying. This is kind of hints towards the future. And then the main female character, Aurelia, the mage character, I kind of somewhat inspired her design to like Pakistani shalwar kameezes, the female shalwar kameezes. So that's how I did it with the character designs. And then onwards, I did the first draft, which is basically just a bunch of notes I did.
Yeah.
Like what I want the story to be. It's pretty much like a coming of age story, a Sword in the Stone, King Arthur type tale. Draft 1 is unreadable. It is so bad. It's even when I look back on it, I'm like, what? I can't read it. It's so bad. Trust me, man. I don't know if I should ever like show that to people. Draft 2.
It's not a bad idea. Like, don't ever think that, because you could do like an extra, content if you want this bad story. Pay for it.
True. Draft 2 happens, which is basically a more refined version of Draft 1. It's pretty much like a book.
Yeah.
Basically what you're writing. Approach the story from beginning to end. And then Draft 3 is a more refined version of that draft. And then Draft 4 is the comic book manga script for myself. Yeah. And that's, I guess, the process of it. So when I'm drawing, I jump back between Draft 4 and Draft 3 when I'm doing the pages. Yeah.
Interesting. With that, so you're doing the writing, scripting, artwork. It's a lot of work, and I know it's a lot of work because I've done this before in the past.
Mm-hmm.
My question was going to be, did you have anybody else look at it before you pushed it out, or you just went for it?
I told a couple of my mutual friends the idea of it, and they were like, it sounds cool, but again, most of it was just me pushing everything out.
Yeah.
Myself. Yeah.
No, that's good. And you found a platform to do that. I saw some results the other day, which is actually mind blowing. And it must be overwhelming sometimes because you're kind of like, oh man, are people gonna like this? Because I was the same when I first started. Like, I've done art for ages, but I had a massive 15-year gap, and then I came back to it and thinking I was a better artist when I was 15 than I am now, because there was a certain technique I learned by then. But a 15-year gap, you're basically starting from scratch again. You have the basic elements, but when people started seeing the work, and it was overwhelming. But now it's like come to a point now where it's like, did I just do that? When you've got some of these big companies asking you to do something, and you're like, shit, this is nuts. So it's like, I could imagine how exciting it must have been to see the results on some of that stuff. Because even if I get a good hit with one of my drawings on YouTube, I still get excited as like crazy to think, all right, there's a couple of people still watching this. This is amazing. So that must be an overwhelming like feeling. Congrats to you, dude. Like you should be proud of the work that you put out, and I'm happy to see that. And I want to see more brothers like us getting our stuff out there, man. Definitely.
Oh, definitely, man. Appreciate it a lot. Means a lot.
You're welcome. Any other future plans coming up, dude?
Oh yes, there's that's only one comic I've showed you guys. I have like 3 more in the works, but
nice.
It's baby steps, it's early days still.
Mm-hmm.
Still, it's very early days.
Because you're working as well at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So
I've got a little day job.
Planning around this, man, because that's hard. That's
it requires a lot of self-discipline, not gonna lie. I want to say I'm quite disciplined and mature for like most people my age, so I try and put my head down and like just focus on everything. It requires a lot of self-discipline. Like whenever I'm free, I want to make sure I'm always productive. Like I legit feel like I get annoyed and pissed off at myself if I'm like procrastinating or anything. I'm like, why aren't you writing? Why aren't you drawing? Why aren't you reading? Just like, come on.
Yeah,
Like,
are you
yeah.
like the eldest? Do you have any other siblings?
Yes, I have one older sibling.
Okay.
I'm the younger one. Yeah.
All right. Cool. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And are they interested in the same things or
Complete opposites.
complete opposites?
Yeah. I'm more creative and like I'm more of a creative. The other one's more of an academic. So
Ah,
two
okay.
complete sides of the spectrum.
Interesting. Because like
Yeah.
the dynamics between my brothers, this is the stuff that actually brings up. We're all totally different.
Mhm.
One's into cars, one's into martial arts. I've always loved this from the beginning.
Mhm.
But the one thing that kind of puts us together is that we kind of all love this stuff. It's my uncle's fault anyway. He's a brilliant artist and he got us into the comic book movie world, and my dad as well. And it's like, damn, this is nuts. Like, my dad still can't believe it now. He's like, how are you still doing this stuff? And I'm like, it's your fault anyway. You got me into this stuff, man. Like you watched your, like, from my dad's side is the movies. From my uncle's side, the art came in and the comic book world. But the movies, like, I feel like the movies influenced us like massively. Like me growing up, it was for me when it was anime, when it was manga, it was the Gaiva, it was Akira, it was the Fist of the North Star. Those are the ones I grew up with. And some of them, they're really outlandish. They're really out there. And I still think they're strong animations to this day. Like there's nothing else that can beat them. When you like your what's your go-to anime? Like the go-to anime that was like, yes, this is me.
I guess oh God, I love so much anime, but I guess Dragon Ball Z, that was the foundation for me. You could say that was like the grandfather for all the newer battle anime at the moment. So I would go Dragon Ball. Yeah, can't go wrong with Dragon Ball.
Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
Yeah. My brother used to love that. I used to sit down with him and watch it.
Yeah.
What do you call it? What else was there? Like Naruto. I got into Naruto recently. Like my younger brother, he's that era. I'm saying that he's 30 now, but he was that era, and
right, yeah,
he absolutely like loved it. And he was like, "Kibbs, please, man, just take your time and just watch." And I've been watching like 2 or 3 episodes a day. But I know it's going to take me ages because it's like over 1,000 episodes. But I love the journey. I love his journey. I love what he's going through and what he has to go through to become the person he's going to become. And that's one thing I suppose I love about anime still. It's like it's so like vast and so big, these stories, It's not like what we get nowadays where we get 8 episodes of something and we're like, oh, it's not enough. Like, anime take it to that extent where they're like, we're going to give you everything, guys. But you're going to have to wait 5 years.
Minimum.
Exactly, minimum 5 years. Minimum 5 years. Dude, so anything you're like excited to see in the next couple of months coming out?
Oh my God, bro, the most anticipated movie of my life is coming out next month. My boy Vengeance. I'm so excited. It doesn't feel real. Like I think this. I've said this to my friends, and my friends think I'm crazy. I'm like, this will be the best Batman film. Period. This will be the best Batman film. I genuinely think so. I think I know this is all subjective, but like from what I've seen from like Matt Reeves' interviews, the trailers, Patterson, the music, I think this is just the Batman movie I've always wanted.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's kept me. Listen, I love it, yeah, but I'm still guarded, and I'm still a bit like, I was like that when they announced Jared Leto as the Joker, and I think he was great, but he was awesome in Justice League. And then the same thing with Heath Ledger. I had my doubts. Listen, I wasn't one of those fans who'd be like, oh no, he can't do it. It was just like, I don't know what I'm gonna expect. And with Robert Pattinson, I don't know what I'm gonna expect because Colin Farrell, who's playing Penguin, I know he does a vast amount of characters. Robert Pattinson has as well. He's got some great movies. I just, I suppose me being a Dark Knight fan, it was the bulk that Ben Affleck bought that made me love. I was like, oh, he looks like Bruce Wayne. He looks like Batman from the comic books. But I know now this Batman that we're gonna get is even more grounded level character, like what Christopher Nolan did with his Batman. I think we're going to get even more grounded character of Batman in this one. But I just, Patterson, like, as much as I love that scene, Vengeance, it's just like, until I wait and see, you know, I'm gonna wait and see what they say. Warner Brothers, my phone is open, emails are open. Give me that call, man. Give me that call. That's actually gonna be quite exciting. I think I don't know. It's like Batman Begins for me. When it first came out, I saw that in cinema 7 times, and it was like I saw that first movie and I was like, hold up, what's going on here? I know Bruce Wayne. You know, Christopher Nolan concentrated on the fact that this is not a story about Batman. It was a story about Bruce Wayne's journey and what he went through. And I know, like, we never got an origin story like properly in the comic books about what he did. We've had different adaptations of what he's done. League of Shadows. He traveled. He learned martial arts and the rest of it. But this one kind of gave me a clear definition of fucking hell. Like, he's gone through the shits. He's like really going for this. Like, they showed me Bruce Wayne. So I love the fact that I got more Bruce Wayne. You know, we got more of the detective in the second movie. The third one is still great to watch, but it just, I know that the studio pushed that one out. It didn't have as much as love as it should have had. But it'll be interesting to see what they do with this Batman. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing the character. I want to see how Andy Serkis does as Alfred, because Alfred plays a big part, man. That's the only family left. So I'm interested to see what they do there. What else do we get this year?
Multiverse of Madness.
Oh shit! That's what hey! Oh my god!
Sam Raimi directed. Oh man, this is I'm ready. I cannot wait. I like see like all my fears are gone now from like because the no Home premiere. I'm just gonna go in embracing this film, especially with all the rumors I've been hearing recently. I'm like, this is going to be bonkers.
If they do what I think they're gonna do, then you know that will genuinely, like, I don't know. I think because personally, from my point of view, with comic book movies that are coming out now at the moment, I genuinely think it's oversaturated. This is,
I agree,
being realistic. And you know, everybody says, oh, you're biased, you always love this stuff, and I said I am always going to love this stuff, but I know that it's oversaturated because now it's come to a point now where I used to go cinema 2 to 3 times max a week. I'd watch anything because I used to love movies. I used to love where it took me, fantasy, comedy, whatever it was. I went and watched it. Where now, I mean, I know we've gone through COVID, but it came to a point where it was like, I'm just going to wait to see it on the big screen. A Marvel movie or a DC movie or something really action-packed. You're like, I'll go see that. Fast and Furious or something like that. Yeah. But they've really, like, those movies have even become too superhero-ish to an extent where a guy is guiding a missile with his hand and, you know, holding a helicopter down. It's like, oh my God, this is okay. This is different. Yeah,
I'd always say Fast and Furious is basically a superhero film with cars.
Exactly.
It's basically that, Or like another one was the latest Scooby-Doo animated film. Yeah. I was a bit gutted by it because I wanted like a full-on like mystery film, but it just became like a superhero-esque Scooby-Doo film, which I was a bit disappointed by.
Exactly that. And it's like, we are as much as we love the content, we are oversaturated with it. And like, I can agree with some of the directors when they say, you know, these movies they have kind of destroyed cinema. As much as it's great, like, because there are certain films like The Dark Knight is a cinematic movie. Great story, great cast, great script. Oh my God, you couldn't have got a better script. But then you've got some movies and you're like, they didn't have to go down that route. They didn't have to do that. Like, they could miss some of this stuff, but like, I'm still gonna love it regardless. I'm gonna be biased no matter what, and I'm gonna be a hypocrite because 20 years ago I never thought I'd get any of these films, you know. So for me, the appreciation is like it's a good thing, but I can see how it's affecting other art forms to come out because independent movies are struggling, other films are struggling. Like, I mean, Martin Scorsese brought out The Irishman. I would have loved to seen that on the big screen. and it's a big 3-hour epic. I mean, you've got Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, Joe Pesci in a movie. I grew up personally, as much as I read comic books and everything, I grew up on gangster movies. I grew up on gangster movies. Like one, Scarface and Carlitos were one of my favorite movies. And they're like in my top 3 films. Like Carlitos, where I absolutely adore. So I miss movies like that. Just they don't have that fresh feeling no more, to be honest.
Yeah. I don't know who said it, but it was gonna be. It's like cinemas will just be for like blockbusters only, while everything else will be like straight to streaming or Blu-ray or DVD.
I think,
and I think I agree with that. Yeah, I think I totally agree with that.
Yeah, and that's what's gonna happen, which is a shame because some of those movies, they're great and like.
Oh yeah, like again, like I'm like with you. I go to the cinema like at least minimum once a week, and like it's always amazing seeing those hidden gems that you see in the cinema. Like The Last Duel, I saw that in cinema. Amazing, such an amazing film. I saw last year 12 Mighty Orphans. It's like an American football like biopic. Amazing film. No one talks about it though. And yeah, like stuff like that. It's and like I want more people to watch these films, and it's a bit heartbreaking because it's just like, did you watch the latest like I don't know Marvel film, Star Wars film, DC film, and so on? So like the yeah.
It's definitely a hard one. I think I read an article yesterday morning. Excuse me, I can't remember his name. He directed Independence Day, but he's doing a new film called Moonfall.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
He was saying that like Marvel, Star Wars, and DC have just destroyed cinema, and I'm gonna go watch Moonfall this weekend. It's on my
Same.
So I'm like I'm still gonna watch it, but it just won't get that attraction like what Spider-Man did. That cinema was packed. I know I caught COVID from that cinema.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, I know that during Christmas I caught COVID because of that movie. That's the risk I took, and that's a risk a lot of people took because I know everybody in that cinema got COVID. But it's the risk you take for that one movie to be all stuffed up in one place to watch it. Yeah, it's nuts. Absolutely nuts cinema at the moment. Absolutely nuts. Before we kind of wrap this up, I wanted to find out from your side characters that you still enjoy drawing to this day.
Oof. Nightwing and Kid Flash are like to this day. I just love drawing those two. I don't know if it's their youthfulness, but any of the Teen Titans, Jonathan Kent, Damian Wayne, Dick Grayson, Wally West. I love drawing Luffy from One Piece, Naruto, Batman here and there. I think Batman, I just love the cowl that Batman has. His silhouette design is just so like addictive to draw. Anyone with a cool cape, Superman, Boba Fett, any Mandalorian. I think the Mandalorian design armor is so cool. But yeah, I think those are like the top like characters that I love always drawing. Like I can't get old and sick of drawing those characters. Yeah.
Don't blame me, man. Don't blame me. Don't blame me at all. Don't blame me at all. All right, cool. Dude, massive thank you for coming on here. But I need you to let the people know where they can find you, where they can follow you. I'm going to have all your links in the description. So guys, make sure you check it out. You're going to listen to this list of social platforms to follow this guy on. You've got to see his artwork. He's got a really good series on TikTok at the moment where he talks about the books he's reading at the moment. So make sure you check that out. But bro, I'm gonna let you do your social media pitch.
Okay, so where can you find me? On Instagram, it's at YK2K_illustrations. TikTok, same thing at YK2K_illustrations. YouTube as well, all caps YK2K. And at Twitter at YK2K_. So that's where you can find me, see all my artwork, and read all my work. Yeah,
definitely, guys. All the links are at the bottom, and then I need to get your comic book link off you so I can pop that on there as well, so people can download.
Oh, of course.
And no, massive thank you for jumping on, dude. I know we've been waiting to catch up on this as well.
I've got a question for you.
You got a question for me?
Yeah.
Go on.
What's your favorite superhero? Good top three. I always go top three. So for me, it's Batman, Spider-Man, and One Punch Man.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Batman's here, Spider-Man's like here, and then like One Punch Man's over here. So depending on my mood, Batman and Spider-Man always switch. So
it's weird because I think Batman's going to be always there, and Superman's going to always be there as well. But mine at the moment, currently, is Iron Man. The past couple of years, I don't know what it is, but he's a character that reminds me of me. Like, you know, my journey, what I went through, what I've had to sacrifice to get to where I've been, where I'm going to. You know, it's a character that I relate to dramatically. It's mad. It's like when it came out, was it 20? Are we talking 20 years ago? Almost
2008. Yeah, almost.
Yeah. So
yeah,
like I just saw myself, dude. And around that time, you know, I'm an adult, don't know which way I'm heading, where I'm gonna go. You know, tragic things happen in the process, but then, you know, help build myself back up. I relate to that character like so badly. And even in the comic books, like even the comic books came out in the 60s, the late 60s, that it still has the same premises as what they did in the MCU movies. I was like, holy shit, man, why does this guy remind me of myself? Like there's certain things that he's gone through and he's done, and then it just related to me, and the character stuck with me ever since. Like each episode, each movie brought an element of myself in there, and it's always stuck with me, and I've become an Iron Man fan. It's nuts, but you know, the original guy was that guy up there, man. They look,
yeah,
you know, that was the original guy. He started it all off. I'll always have a special place in my heart for that character and what he stands for. Yeah, it's mad. But yeah, Iron Man. It's going to be Iron Man. I think below, though, I've got short man syndrome. So Wolverine's still in there.
Good choice.
Wolverine's still there because I've got that berserk rage sometimes. And that's only inspired by the character of Wolverine. But I love his journey, bro. Like, you know, how hard it must have been for him mentally and like physically to be immortal. You know, you watch everybody go by, man. People you're in, you know, your friends, your loved ones, and you're like, I'm still here trying to do this shit. It's nuts, bro. And like Old Man Logan just kind of like, I don't know if you've read that.
I've read it, man. Trust me.
God,
yes.
Like to this day, I still think it's still one of my top 5 best ever comic books ever. I love what they did with the character, and then, you know, what Hugh Jackman did. Like as a fan, I didn't like Hugh Jackman. I still don't like Hugh Jackman. I don't think he suits to be. He doesn't. It's only after Days of Future Past I was like, I can see the Wolverine in him now. Like he bulked up, his hair looked much better. He started, you know, like you could see the characteristics that he started reading more comic books, and he was like, I want to look like that dude now. But I couldn't take the fact that he was like 6'4". I was like, nah, man, that guy's like 5'3", man. That's my height. I couldn't accept it. And then he did Logan, and I was like, man, I am going to give you your props. You deserve it. 18 years in a row. Yeah, bless him. He smashed that movie. That movie was brilliant. It was a great script. Probably, again, another great, you know, comic book movie that can sit up there with like The Dark Knight. Because the X-Men movies I'm not a big fan of.
Fair. Yeah, fair.
But yeah, it's gonna be Iron Man for me, dude. That's my top dude.
Fair.
Yeah, man. Cool.
Good choices.
Spot,
I'll put you on the spot, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not usually the one to go through that. But no, listen, Yusuf, thank you so much for making the time and jamming out with me, dude, because it's always nice to geek out with a fellow geek, and the listeners listen out to that. I want to speak to everyday people that love the content and like enjoy like art and collecting and why we do it, and try and have an understanding for it, and like, you know, you'll find some next love in the stuff that we do, because there's not a day that doesn't go by and I'm like excited for something. You know, it could be a bloody Funko Pop. I'm excited. I don't care. And not many people know. Like, I've got a shitload of them. I love them, and I go through like all sorts to try and even get them signed by different artists that created them, or an actor who's played the character. You know, like it means that little £10 piece of junk means the world to me, because I'm like, now it's signed by the creator or the actor or the artist. Like, it's amazing. Like, it gives me a different buzz. So I love sharing that with other people. So listen, dude, again, massive thank you. And it's like inspirational to hear like what you're doing with your artwork and bringing the books out, which are absolutely amazing. So guys, make sure you click on that link below. Go follow, go download the book as well, because it's really good. So, and you'll see his artwork, his writing skills. Like, dude, absolutely amazing. You should be proud. You should be proud.
Appreciate it.
All right, cool. I'm gonna salute, bro. I'll catch you up.